My name is Guillermo Hamlin, and once again, I am your moderator this evening. We thank you for tuning in, as well as to all the candidates for participating. Tonight, we feature candidates from Wards 7 and 8, and we ask you to please pay attention to the questions that we will be asking them tonight in this forum. Please visit our site and follow us on social media for up-to-date information and or confirmations for upcoming forums ahead. We have a at-large forum happening on Thursday, October 28th, and we hope to see you there as well. In a few moments, I will introduce the candidates participating this evening. We will do the wards in order of their number, and each individual candidate will take turns first in their individual ward races. We will start and then alternate within each ward. Candidates will be given 4 minutes for their opening statement. The questions were chosen from the ones submitted by the Malden Chamber of Commerce, the Malden Advocate, MHS Blue and Gold, and finally, all questions were reviewed and edited for time and content. All the candidates will be given the same questions. Even if one seems like it's only an issue in a single ward, our decision is based on the reality that every winner will be voting on every single issue when elected. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to answer each question. Candidates may use their 2 minutes to either answer the question or split their time to answer and using their remaining time to potentially rebut something that was maybe said about them. And finally, it is very important that each participant keep their time allotted. A yellow light will come on signifying there's 30 seconds left, and a red light will mean the time is running out. Now, mind you, this is visible to the viewers at home. For the candidates, you will see me interject in the middle of the end of your answering a question, your opening statement, to signify 30 seconds are left, in which case, once time is up, I will simply wave or get your notice. Finally, we hope to get 8 questions in, and time is tight, so we look to you to help us and cooperate to get this done. UMA, Urban Media Arts, formerly known as MATV, has been doing political forums since we've opened our doors in the early 90s. And although we have changed our name, we are still committed to connecting people, organizations, as we foster Malden's engagement in the political process. It is vital that all voices are heard, and UMA is delighted once again to take the lead in making sure that that happens. Again, we thank you all for taking the time to join us. And now, let's meet the candidates. From Ward 7, challengers Michelle Luong and Chris Simonelli. And from Ward 8, incumbent Jadine Sika and Nate Coupel. And now for our opening statements. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Michelle Luong for the first opening statement. I'm gonna ask if she can go ahead and turn on her video, and I'll bring her up when she's ready.
I'm ready.
Oh, all right. You have the floor, although we don't see your video.
I've undid my video 4 times. It says can't stop it because host has stopped it.
Okay, how about now?
Well, let's try. Nope. Oh, there we go.
My apologies, proceed.
That's okay. So I just want to say thank you to Media Arts and everybody that submitted questions tonight. This is just an amazing. So thank you very much for taking the time. And to all the residents that have taken the time to attend this evening to watch and learn what each candidate has to offer their wards in the city of Malden. As a mom, businesswoman, community activist, I have witnessed changes that Ward 7 has gone through over the years. As your school committee representative, I have worked hard to improve policies, add transparency, and protect our students. As a community activist, I've walked with the Friends of Fairway Green. I've been a special education advocate for over 14 years, as well as president of the Zonta Club of Malden and the vice chair of the Ward 7 Democratic City Committee. I am also currently working with the cross-functional team across the state for Women's Coalition Ending Child Marriage in the state of Massachusetts. During the pandemic, my family and I have laser cut over 500 pieces of fabric that were turned into masks. We packaged food bags, delivered goods to seniors, and Chromebooks to the school community. If the last 18 months have taught us anything, it's the importance of working together and helping those around us. Ward 7 has real issues with food insecurity, housing costs, traffic, pest control, and just basic safety concerns. By working together, we can maximize our resources to ensure that every person counts. Your fears and hopes matter to me. I have been asked so many times, why vote for me? It's simple. A vote for me means integrity, hard work, transparency, and a forward-thinking planner that gets things done. Remember, as your city council, I work for you. Our city has changed. Our government has changed. How we do business has changed. I have the tenacity and commitment to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle Luan. We are now going to bring up Chris Seminelli. Chris, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and here you are. All right, Chris, you're all set.
How you doing? Good evening. Can you hear me? No?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
All right, good. Thank you. How you doing, Michelle? I don't know if you can hear me or not, Michelle. How you doing? I just want to say thank you for a nice, clean campaign. I think we've showed the citizens out there that people can run without being at each other's throats and running a nice, clean campaign. And I thank you for that. And I wish you luck. Again, my name is Chris Simonelli. I was a Ward 7 city councilor for 10 years, from 98 to 2008. I've lived in Ward 7 5 generations now. My family in itself has probably lived in Malden between 8 and 10 generations. It's Simonelli's all over the place there in Malden. And during my tenure as a Ward 7 city councilor, you know, we've accomplished a lot of things in Ward 7. You know, talk about creating green space, talk about revitalizing the existing green space, building a new school in the city, bringing millions of dollars of infrastructure money into the city for streets and sidewalk repair. We did things with affordable housing, innovative, real creative thinking out of the box things when it came to affordable housing. We took parcels of land that the city was making no money on and people were throwing trash in, and we made them to be affordable home ownership. We brought family housing into Ward 7 across from the Lincoln Commons and brought 20 units of affordable housing for people that were living in shelters. I've helped bring HUD involved with the Malden Housing Authority. Mayor Howard at the time went to Washington. We went to Boston, spoke with the folks at HUD. Wynn property took over Bowden Street Apartments. That was a time when Bowden Street Apartments was going bankrupt, and we put an affordability clause in there with HUD to get them to give them a loan to Wynn to develop that, to bring affordable housing back into Malden, along with Newland Street, Suffolk Manor, and scattered housing that we have throughout the entire city. So I like to think we're like the mecca of affordable home ownership, affordable housing in Ward 7. We work very hard at that. I'm a big proponent of after-school programs. We've created many after-school programs. We received the 21st Century Grant from the Clinton administration during my tenure as a city councilor for all the after-school programs that I see that we made, senior programs. And that's one of the reasons why I am running, is because a lot of those programs are non-existent anymore. And I think we need to revitalize those programs, bring energy back into the neighborhood. And anyone that knows me and knows me for the last 15, 20 years in Malden and my tenure during my time as a city councilor in Ward 7, they know that what they got out of there for them 10 years was remarkable. We brought crime down to the lowest level that it ever been. Like I said, we created affordable housing. We created affordable home ownership. We created after-school programs, senior programs, community policing for public safety, which I'd like to bring that back again to the Bowden Apartment area and to Newland Street areas. So those are the things that I see. And the other things I see as I'm knocking on doors for the third time in the neighborhood, I hear the people talking, and sidewalks, street repair, infrastructure work, trees, planting trees, cutting trees, limbs, all that stuff comes with the job. That's 101. That comes with it. But the things that I've learned at talking to the people out there, especially this, going through this whole COVID and pandemic situation that we've been going
I'm
through.
so sorry, Chris. I have to
Yeah, go ahead.
stop you right
Yeah,
here,
that's fine.
but there'll be more time to expand on
Oh.
questions.
Not a
Thank
problem.
you. And now we are going to go to Nate Coupel. Hey, Nate, are you there?
I'm here.
Awesome. The floor is yours for your opening statements.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you, Guillermo. Thank you to fellow candidates tonight and to all of you community members who are joining us this evening. So my name is Nate Bay-Cupel, and my wife and I live in the Highland Village neighborhood in Ward 8, just behind what used to be the Granada Apartments. I've had the great honor of a career focused on helping people, from reducing barriers for young people to get into college, get jobs, anti-racism education, to improving our nation's hospitals and mental health care services. And what all those have in common, and what I've learned through these experiences, is that connecting people and communities to the right services and programs at the right time can be a really powerful force for good. And as we plan for our long-term post-COVID future here in the city and across the ward, I'm really committed to listening to everyone here in the community, working with fellow counselors, city departments, our business and nonprofit communities to really prioritize policies that can improve the quality of our lives here in the city that we all love. I've really enjoyed speaking with so many of you about what you would like to see in Ward 8. And I've heard that we need to get some of the basics right, from thinking about how we can reduce traffic on our side streets, improving the conditions of our roads and sidewalks. I spoke with a resident last week who uses a wheelchair and struggles to get from her front door to her car because of the condition of her crumbling sidewalk. The accessibility of our streets should not be an accessory in our budget, and neither should language accessibility. I believe that all residents should have the ability to take advantage of important services that our city has to offer, especially in a diversity like ours. We can be doing a lot more. Many of you have told me you want improved communication with the city about neighborhood improvements and changes that will impact you. I think having council Facebook pages should be just one method of spreading information. As we saw a little over a week ago with the Facebook outage, we can't always rely on these kinds of platforms to spread important information to our residents. I've heard that you want increased green spaces, community gardens, and pocket parks. I do too. I care about improving the quality of our schools, increasing opportunities for our young people, and building a climate action plan that removes the burden of dealing with the entire impact of our changing environment on residents. I care deeply about our community here and would love the honor of representing you as the next Ward 8 City Councilor. So on November 2nd, I humbly ask for your vote for Ward 8 City Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to invite Jadine Sika to answer that and to have an opening statement. Hello, Councilor Sika, are you ready?
Hello, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I want to thank UMA for hosting this forum. It allows our residents the opportunity to meet the candidates that are running for the offices that are open in their ward. I'm Jadine Sika, and I have had the pleasure of serving you as your Ward 8 City Councilor since 2014. I'm a fourth generation Maldonian who attended Malden Public Schools. I have two children, Juliana, who's 22, and John, who's 19. Both attended Malden Public Schools till high school as well. My community involvement started when I joined the Linden PTO back in 2004. I realized then that I loved being involved in the community. I'm not sure I would understand just what it takes to be a successful city councilor without that foundation. Over the past 8 years in Ward 8, we've paved roads, we've fixed potholes, we've planted trees, we've improved parks, but far more importantly, we were there for each other. These last 18 months have been a challenging period, to say the least. but I am proud of how we all pulled together as a community. From social distancing dance party parades in the streets with the Easter Bunny, Spider-Man, Paw Patrol, you name it, we had it. It got to the point that it was so uplifting to our residents that I had teachers and principals looking to join in for the parades that were hosted every Saturday during the height of the pandemic. I went around the ward and thanked our nurses on Nurses Day back in May of 2020 with lawn signs and cookies. Everybody in the ward needs to know how appreciated they are, and that was truly a time for lots of appreciation. I delivered trash bags, stamps, you name it. If somebody called for it, I went to the store, people that were uncomfortable leaving their house, and I got it done. I'm running for re-election because I love Malden, especially Ward 8. I've lived here for 44 years, and I truly, truly love the community that we have here. It's been a pleasure working for you and with all of you, and I would be honored to have the opportunity to work for you for 2 more years. So on November 2nd, I hope that you would re-elect JD and Sika. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sika. Now, if you could stay, in fact, because we're going to go ahead and proceed with the question portion for candidates, and you're next. So I'm going to go ahead and keep you here for now. So at the beginning of the hour, we mentioned how we believe that city councilors will be addressing issues that may affect all wards, seeing that you will vote on issues citywide. However, if either one of you were elected, you'd be dealing with those several issues in addition to those issues particular to your wards. What do you believe is the most pressing issues in your ward?
So the most pressing issue right now in my ward has been flooding. So in the last 6 weeks, I've worked alongside with Rep. Altrino to discuss some flooding issues that we've had over on Delta Terrace, down at the end of Blaine, over on Hadley, back and forth with DOT and DCR these past several weeks. Who was passing the buck onto what was going on. We finally came to figure out last week that we had 3 broken floodgates. So the floodgates, Revere, the city of Revere was so gracious to go in and do a temporary fix to a problem that needs to be more permanent, but due to fabrication and hinges that all need to be ordered and fabricated, so far, it has been an easy fix. We've had 100+ hours of saltwater-free backyards over on Delta Terrace and Baca Road, which is a huge accomplishment because the poor residents that live over in that area for the last 6-7 weeks, they've been experiencing water when it hasn't even rained. Any high tide that went over 8 feet, they would get in their backyard. So they would get rising waters in the morning and in the evening every day. The mosquitoes have been a problem. The smell at this point is kind of moldy. So we're hoping with the new frost that it will help the residents of Delta Terrace and Blaine and Hadley. So I think the most pressing issue at this moment is flooding in Ward 8.
Thank you very much, Councilor Sika. I will bring up your challenger, Nate Coupel, with the same question. Awesome, Nate. So would you need me to repeat the question?
No, I think I got it.
Awesome. Thank
So
you.
I'd say, absolutely flooding is definitely an issue in Delta Terrace. I definitely heard that from talking with residents, and I think just generally and more on a universal level, the importance of thinking about how we're tackling the impact of climate change and rising sea levels is just one part of a larger puzzle that I think that we as an entire city need to be thinking about. And I think there's been some really excellent work already to try to address that and more work to do. I mentioned earlier getting the basics right. I think that's a continued thing that I know it's an ongoing pursuit. It never really ends because as soon as you get through a lot of the updates to roads and sidewalks, things are in need of repair again. But it's an important thing for mobility and for all residents to be able to get around our neighborhood safely. And similarly, around safety, traffic and road safety. I continue to hear from people about speeding on side streets. And I think there's no secret here that the rise of our gig economy, which is wonderful, it gives jobs to a lot of folks. It's also creating different traffic flows down our side streets during really busy times of the day, during morning, afternoon, evening commutes. I mentioned communication. I think that's another thing that I hear a lot about, which is I know that there are all kinds of requests that get put in for fixes across the ward. And I know this isn't just necessarily here in Ward 8, it's across the city. People want a little bit more buy-in. They want to know how some of these decisions are being made, what will be done, and when they will happen. And then finally, I think keeping the ward clean and green. And I mentioned this earlier. I think that we need to think about how we're addressing littering in our streets and finding ways to reduce that with strategic trash bin locations and finding ways to build more green spaces to reduce the heat island effects and to create more green space for all of us.
Thank you very much, Nate. And now I'm going to bring up Chris Seminelli. Hello, Chris. Would you need me to repeat the question or do you have a grasp of it?
No, I got a grasp of it. Thank you very much, too. I think we have a whole host of issues that are going on in Ward 7 that need to be addressed. And again, these are things that have been done in the past. I have done these things in the past when I was a city council. Obviously, affordable housing is a big issue for me and has been. And you can tell by my track record that it has been. After school programs are a big issue for latchkey kids that we have a lot down in our ward, in that district, because of the low to moderate income housing situations. Crime is an issue. Community police, and I have to bring that back to flow into the after school programs like we have done once before. Working with the youth and the parents down there and trying to maintain some order and respect for one another. Senior programs as well. Food issues, we got a lot of food issues there. I'd like to work on those things. Streets and sidewalks is a big issue. Those are things that we've worked on many times before. I've been walking around the neighborhood and I've been seeing that. And I think that I have my hands on some money as we speak. I know we got recovery money, community development block grant money, Chapter 90 funding, so we can go after all these pieces of funding so we can do all of the sidewalks in the next 5 years over in Ward 7 and the structures of the streets. Obviously, we have some language barriers down in Ward 7 right now when we're campaigning. I'm bringing along people that can speak the languages with me to make more communication because, again, we need to bring the community together with camaraderie so everybody can get to know one another. Job placement opportunities, for the people down in Ward 7. We used to do those things before. I want to do them again. These are things that have been done. And also, I'd like to get some light up stop signs at some of these locations for traffic patterns to look them over. Obviously, we've got trash issues. We got to deal with those. A comprehensive rodent program that has legislature, that has teeth, so that we can go after people that have restaurants and people that have garbage, that have separate dumpsters. Educate the community a little bit more on things that we're so close in proximity to one another that, they
sorry to
can't.
bother you, Chris. Time is up.
That's all right.
But,
Thanks.
all right, awesome. Thank you. And now we'll bring up Michelle Luong. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, thank you so much. Wow, there is a lot of issues here in 7, but the question was, what are the top issues? And as I'm knocking on doors, there are several top issues. One is food insecurity. 2 is pest control. I know that's an issue throughout, the city, but it's really rampant in Ward 7. The rats are completely out of control. There's several options there. And, I'm all for coming up with what makes sense. We could install owl boxes. We could do what Brian DeLacy has suggested, which is prevent the rats from reproducing. But anything we do, we have to do as a community, and we have to think of the environment when we do it. Huge speed enforcement. We as a city, we can't put ordinances in place that we're not going to then enforce. So speed is a huge problem. We need traffic planning, proper traffic planning. I think people need to understand is that the wards around us have to be cautious of when there's building allowed in those other wards. That affects our traffic patterns, especially in 7. And that really has to be adjusted, and that really has to be looked at. And one of the biggest problems we have is that our sidewalks in Ward 7, specifically Precinct 2, are not ADA compliant. Lime Street, Harvard Street, Bowden Street, down through Newland Street. It's unacceptable when new moms are walking on the street with their baby strollers. It's unacceptable that we have people's properties being damaged. We need to look. I understand we're part of Tree USA. I understand that we've had an arborist look a few years ago, but I think Ward 7 was forgotten because it's just not, it's not right. It's not right that I had the same person say to me that he's had to replace his wall in front of his house. So if I'm elected as your ward councilor, those are my top priorities. There's lots of things, community programs that inspire, but most important, I will have quarterly meetings on Zoom and in person.
Thank you very much, Michelle Wong. I'm going to keep you here because you're going to answer the second question first. So
Sure.
Last year, during the summer, the mayor of Malden declared via an executive order that racism is a public health crisis. This question comes from the Blue and Gold. Do you believe racism is a threat to the public health and safety? Specifically, how does it impact Malden?
So, I am Ward 7's current school committee rep, and I do believe that racism, especially Asian hate as of late, is a public crisis. And there's things that we can do as a community to ease the tensions. And I think a lot of that is just pure communication issues. We need to have our public meetings translated. We need to have documents. When people walk into City Hall, they should know exactly how to communicate with each other. That's everything documented, translated. We need to work together. We also need to have a system in place that allows for reporting of these racist incidents. It's rampant through our city. And the more we just shut down about it, the more it's going to continue. So I firmly believe that communication and safety concerns need to be handled immediately, fastly, and exactly how it needs to be handled through the police and through our community.
Public safety, right?
Thank you very much, Michelle Wong. Chris Seminelli, same question. I'm going to wait till your video is on. Very good. All right. So, Chris, do you need me to repeat the question or did you grasp it? Oh, hold up. You're on mute. There you go.
Good? You got me?
You're good.
All right. Well, look, obviously, we do have racism issues. They're in Ward 7, they're in the city of Malden, they're in the state of Massachusetts, and they're all over the country. And it's tough. It's a tough thing with trying to educate people. And I think that's one of the things that we need to do is we need to educate people. And let me just say, again, I'd like to say on our campaign, we're going out there, I'm going out there, talking to the people, building bridges with people communication-wise as I'm going out there with interpreters and all the languages that I can get to, and talking to people and making them part of the community. And I think that's part of our campaign here. That's part of my message, is to go out there, especially, as we're coming out of this pandemic, is to get people camaraderie with the neighborhood, get people knowing one another again. That's why you can see it in our campaign right now, the things that we're doing as far as the, doing things in the neighborhood on the green spaces that I have created. And I have done extensive work on all of the parks in my neighborhood. So we want to get the folks out again so they can know who their neighbor is. They can know who their neighbor is 3, 4, 5 blocks away. Get them communicating, getting them networking with one another. That's what I can do as a community leader in Ward 7. And we've done this already. And I've grown up in a very diverse, ethnic background community. I mean, my family, my friends, we went to school together at Daniels, so Ward 7's always been a melting pot. And those are the things that we need to address to people and let them know that, we got to get camaraderie and spirituality back into each other and helping each other out as a community. And that's what I've been doing out there on my campaign. We've already started this, and let's just keep going and moving on this, and together we can make it happen. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to bring on Nate Coupel for the same question. Hello, Nate.
Hello.
All right, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. I absolutely agree that racism is a public health crisis. As someone with a social work hat almost on all the time, I know how racism can impact our own, as people of color, our own understanding of who we are and how we exist in the world, and how by the way we are treated. And those long-term effects can go up to the place where it can lead to depression, can lead to a number of different mental illnesses.
What happened? Frozen?
Which is our first step in addressing racism, but it's also across the board, whether it's language access, whether it's looking at ways that we can build grant funding for programs and organizations that really focus on addressing racism. And this is something absolutely I know at the Malden High School has been a concern. There was a petition circulated this past year about addressing racism and racial equity, and the importance of having more diverse teachers that represent the student body as one of the most diverse high schools in the country. So I absolutely think this is a public health crisis, and this is the first step. And I think that we have a lot of work to do, but I'm excited and hope to be elected and help take part in shaping some of these things that we can do to address this.
Thank you very much, Nate Coupel. We're gonna wait for Jadine Sika, and there she is. Let's ask her to unmute. Hello, Jadine, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. I too believe that racism is a huge public health crisis in the city of Malden. When we have Asian residents afraid to walk down our streets, then we know that we have a problem here. We need to focus on how we as a city can do better to protect our neighbors, no matter what their race, religion, or creed is. As a counselor and a mom, I have always done my part to make sure that everyone feels included, no matter what. I've taught my children to love no matter what. We have family members of all races and nationalities, and we welcome everybody to our table. I think that we need to try to bring people together more. When I do my community events in the city, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to connect the community together, whether it's through a barbecue or a color party or a luau, or even at the 4th of July. It's a nice way to get your neighbors together so they know one another, and it kind of breaks down the barriers of the different ethnic backgrounds and all of that. So I think us hiring Bibios for the diversity officer, who's working with all our city department heads on how we can make our workforce more diversified. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. The mayor declaring racism a public health crisis in the city is also another huge step in the right direction. And I look forward to working to continue to bring down those barriers if I get reelected in November.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Jadine. We're now going to ask Chris Simonelli to return for question 3. And while he gets ready, I'll begin to ask it. Awesome.
Thanks.
So stay there, Chris. I'll go ahead and ask the question. So very recently, the Senior Community Center has merged with the Youth Enrichment Center. I believe it's the Teen Enrichment Center at the Senior Center building located on Washington Street. What are your thoughts regarding this new arrangement? And do you see the youth program eventually getting their own space?
Yes, well, let me just say this. I welcome that partnership. Again, I have created a triad program when I was in office before with the seniors, working with the youth, and working with the police department. That's what forms the triad. And it kind of brings those barriers, the young and the old and the seniors and the youth and the police department all working together. So I think that's a step in the right direction. And I'm happy to see that that's happening now in the city of Malden. And do I think that the city of Malden is going to have their own teen center? Absolutely. I'd love to see that. Anybody that knows me and knows my background, I'm a huge proponent of after-school programs. I've taught after-school programs down at the Newland Street Rec Center, a very successful martial arts program, giving back to the community. I've worked with the Malden Housing Authority with that. I've worked with the Malden YMCA, the YWCA, the Malden Redevelopment Authority. So I've championed those types of things. And actually, we've got the 21st Century Grant, which is over $3 million because of the programs that I had created down in the Newland Street and Ward 7 area. And they put them all in the schools. And, it was the programs based down in Ward 7, and you can check the facts, that they used to be able to get the 21st Century Grant that we got from the Clinton administration. And we actually got a letter from the Clinton administration thanking us for the hard work that we did. So again, I am all for what's happening right now in the community center, the senior center, with the seniors and the youth. And I want to still do some more of those things down in my own neighborhood. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chris Simonelli. We're now going to bring on Michelle Luong with the same question. Michelle, do you need me to repeat the question, or did you gather what I was asking?
No, I understand your question. Thank you. I think it's really a nice partnership for the senior community and the teens to collaborate and to be able to cross-generationally see things from both of their perspectives. Do I think that they belong in the same area? No, I do believe they need both of their separate spaces, but I do believe there's programs and activities that we could do to build community and to come in both spots, because I do believe that there's a benefit. We've seen, even during COVID, we saw a lot of teens from the high school and young adults all helping out the elderly and helping out the seniors with, food deliveries and neighbors helping neighbors and all of that. That just wasn't encompassing adults. There was also teenagers and young adults involved in that as well. So do I think that they need their own space? Absolutely. I think that we need to put in youth programs that truly inspire them. Not everyone wants to be an athlete. There's artists, there's engineers, there's robotics, there's all kinds of things and all kinds of programs that we can do to inspire our young. Being president of the Zonta Club of Malden, we have a young teen group called the Z Club, and it's made up of young high school and middle school girls that want to just move girls' issues and teen issues forward. I was there and part of when they put the Teen Dating Violence Awareness Night in, that really highlighted the importance of teaching girls and boys as well how to stay safe and being in a safe relationship. And so it's things like that, as well as the fun stuff, that's really going to bring our community together.
Thank you very much, Michelle Luong. I'm going to bring on Counselor Sika. Let's see, there she is. And, all right, Jadine Sika, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So I guess I'm in the minority here because I think that intergenerational programs between teenagers and senior citizens is amazing. And I hope to see this particular partnership with Kathy Mack and Mike Neal continue. I think that teenagers should be around seniors. They can learn a lot from them. Being, fun activities, exercise classes, or just simple advice. It doesn't even need to be advice. It could be a similar situation with a story that a senior is telling a teenager. I think that all of that is amazing. I think that it was a fabulous idea to intertwine the two generations. I think that this is something that's on the rise across the country. And I think that our teens are lucky to be able to have a place that they can go. We have some teens that don't have, loving homes or grandparents or even parents for that matter anymore. And they get to go to the teen center and experience, a relationship with somebody that they may have not have had unless they went to the teen center. So I think that mixing the generations together in this program is awesome. They do have their own times to do certain things, but I think a bunch of different activities should be mixed. And I think that it will benefit both our seniors. It'll give them a will to live, you know, and keep them going if they're with our young at heart kids, our young at heart teens. So I think that it's amazing that they're both commingled together, and I would love to see the program continue. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jadine Sika. I'm going to bring on Nate Coupel with the same question. All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's I think there's definitely some really strong benefits to having cross-generational programming for young people, for elders and seniors, absolutely. And I think that the Teen Center should be have a separate center for our young people. It's important to have dedicated spaces for both of these two important groups of our city to understand the different needs and services that they may require. And I also think that our youth work, our youth engagement and services for our seniors should extend beyond the walls of just a building across each ward. And for our young people, I've talked with a number of youth already who want to see a youth commission made up of youth to really have a say in how the city shapes policy and decisions. Inclusive curriculums, opportunities for building job skills and career growth with local business leaders and nonprofit leaders as well. There are so many opportunities to build out apprenticeship programs for young people. Other cities and towns have youth conservation programs that allow for young people to get involved with conservation efforts, to build parks, to maintain gardens, community gardens, and so much more. And so absolutely, I think right now, it's a great opportunity to learn and to find ways to build long-term programs between our young people and seniors and elders. And I think that they both require and warrant their own centers that have issues and services catered to their distinct needs and cultural needs too.
Thank you very much, Nate Coupel. Now I'm going to keep you here because I'm going to read the fourth question, by which you are the first candidate to answer. Public safety, specifically policing, is and has been a lightning rod issue across the United States, with recent slogans such as defund the police and the people's budget becoming synonymous with either lowering, reallocating, or cutting personnel, or funneling the funds for other purposes within the municipal scope. In short, what is your general stance on public safety, specifically with policing and their funding? Do you support the concept of defund the police or the people's budget? And if not, why?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an essential topic. I believe police are essential to keeping our community safe. And here in Ward 8, we've seen a number of escalating public safety incidents here on our streets. We absolutely need effective law enforcement. And I actually believe we need to be increasing funding for the services and the kind of response that we require and need of our law enforcement. Some examples. I mean, we've got nearly 25% of our residents who have limited English proficiency. And when emergency crisis occurs, we need effective communicating across languages, interpreting services. And with my social work hat on here, we absolutely need to have social workers involved, whether it's training our police and law enforcement to be able to successfully deal with those living with severe mental illness, with substance abuse or overdose. I mean, there are entire clinical fields devoted to working with these populations. So I absolutely think that we need to be increasing funding for our law enforcement and for community services to address the diverse and incredibly nuanced needs that are in our communities so that they can better protect and serve all of us across the entire city and in Ward 8.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring up Jadine Sika with the same question. Jadine, do you need me to repeat the question in part, or do you grasp what I'm saying?
Can you repeat it really fast for me if you don't
Sure.
mind?
So public safety, specifically policing, is and has been a lightning rod issue in this country. In recent years, slogans such as defund the police and the people's budget have become either synonymous with lowering funding for police departments or reallocating it within the municipal scope. What is your general stance on public safety, specifically police funding? Do you support the concept of defunding the police? And if not, why?
Okay, so right off the bat, I do not support defunding the police. I am looking to defund the police. I think the City of Malden Police Department is amazing. I do not think they should be defunded at all. If anything, they need to be funded more. The work that they do with our community is amazing. We have police officers who play basketball, who play street hockey, who do all kinds of things with the youth of this city to get them to get a better connection on them. School resource officer Trent Headley is amazing with our children. If anybody has seen him in action, he is exactly in the position that he should be in. The way that he works with these kids in these schools is amazing. And I'm pretty sure he took a pay cut to get into that position, but it was totally his calling, totally his calling. The police do a 2-week program with the youth as a summer camp. If nobody has checked it out, they should go on to the Malden Police Facebook page and look at the pictures that our children get to go to 2 weeks out of every summer. I wish it was around when my kids were younger. They have the state police come in with helicopters. They go down to Encore Casino to see the boat team. It's truly amazing. Our police department in the city of Malden is amazing and should not be defunded at all. If anything, like I said, they need to be fully more funded to continue to do what it is that they do for us. We have a pretty diverse police department as well. There's some that speak Spanish, Portuguese, Haitian Creole, Cantonese, Mandarin. We got one officer who does sign language. I think we have a French police officer as well. Our police department is nothing short of amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jadine. I'm going to bring up Michelle LeWong. Thank you, Michelle. The floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. So where do I even start to say, I will not defund the police? Unbelievable. The police responders, first responders are an integral part of our community. They need our support. They need more support. They need support to do the jobs effectively for the good of all our citizens. We're very much a diverse community, and I'm thrilled to hear, as Councilor Sika pointed out, the different languages that are spoken amongst our police force. I'm also thrilled to see that they're actually have just started a partnership with the Elliott Human Services to have ride-alongs. I'm thrilled that that's going to be in place. Those are all things that I think only come with benefits for our community. I believe applying for grants that return our police on bicycles in the spring. I don't believe at any time should we defund. The police are the most important part of our community, and Ward 7 especially, given some of the issues we've had over the past couple of years, especially during COVID, with domestic violence issues. We've had murders. We need to bring police back into our community, and we need to do it effectively. We need to do it calmly, and we need to do it so everybody feels safe. I talk a lot about building bridges in my lit, and I've talked about it, even building bridges within the school communities. And for me, it was really important that we support having Officer Trent in our schools. If we could have 3 more of him, I would say we would be all the better. We would be absolutely all better. One of the things I'm currently working on is anti-bullying is a huge thing. We've reinstated the task force, and part of that task force is to bring police and the school administration together to come up with a reporting system that's going to make it so our kids feel comfortable in reporting dangerous or violent issues. So no, I would never defund the police. If not, I would increase. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle Luong. I'm going to bring up Chris Seminelli for the same question. Hello,
Good.
Chris, the floor is
Oh.
yours. Do you need me to repeat the question or do you have it?
No, I'm good. Well, I mean, my background, I have over 20 years experience in law enforcement. I worked for the Sheriff's Department, the Department of Corrections. I was a training instructor for the Mass Criminal Justice Training Council. I've taught defensive tactics. And I guess the answer would be that I would increase the budget for the police department. They need more police officers on the street because they're at a minimum right now after talking to those folks. They need more money for training. I understand that they just got some body cameras on them without even impact bargaining that, which I think is commendable to them. I have worked with the Malden Police Department for many, many years as a city council down in Ward 7. We're creating the after-school programs, doing community policing. They came on bus trips with us to martial arts tournaments that we did for the kids down in Newland Street and the surrounding area, also in Linden and high school stuff. So I've worked with them hand in hand. And, the Malden Police Department, I mean, they do a tremendous job. I mean, they're focused, they're disciplined, and they know what they're doing when it comes to working the streets. And I'd like to get more of that. And I'm going to get more of that. And I've already talked to those folks about doing those things, the police chief and all those folks over there, the captain and the rank and file. I'm just confused, though, and I guess this is to my opponent, is that I was under the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be, I thought that the Our Revolution people that's endorsed you, that you have on your literature, is for defunding the police. And I don't mean it as a dig towards you at all. I'm just confused because I understand that that's part of the Our Revolution group, and you also had a checkbox list in order for you to get endorsed by the Our Revolution group. And I'd like to know if you have that checklist and what was on that checklist, and if you could produce that for us, because I'd really like to see that. Because I'm confused.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to keep you here for the time being because I'm going to read our next question. So on a visit to a local business not that long ago, and this was submitted by the Malden Chamber of Commerce, an owner mentioned that keeping customers was challenging since many of his clients were renters and that they only tend to stick around for a couple years before moving on. Malden only has 36 to 40% of its housing as owner occupied, meaning non-renting. What ideas do you have to increase this number in order to help local businesses? Let me see if I can get you to come back.
You talking to me?
Yes, but your video is off. So
Okay,
I requested to turn on your video.
Just repeat that again for me.
Of course.
Sorry.
So 36 to 40% of housing in Malden is owner occupied. The Malden Chamber of Commerce shared an anecdote about a local business owner realizing that customers, as well as keeping customers, is challenging as some of them get displaced outward. What ideas do you have to increase this number, meaning owner occupancy, in order to help local businesses?
Well, I'd like to say, once again, I'd like to bring it back to Ward 7 during my time there from 98 to 2008. And, we went after dilapidated properties, blighting pieces of property, absentee landlords that let their houses fall into disarray. And we would take neighborhood walkarounds, and I'm sure the people down in Ward 7 remember those things, with all the department heads, including the mayor. And we would walk around and we would look at all these different properties, and then we would call in those landlords that own those properties and talk to them about increasing their property as far as value goes, and cleaning up around them, and offering them low interest, and sometimes if they qualified, no interest loans through the Malden Redevelopment Authority, along with HUD development monies, 108 loans, community development block grant money, all those areas. We would ask them if they would participate in those programs, and a lot of times they did. And we got to clean up a lot of old properties. Now, as far as the affordable housing ownership goes, we would take vacant lots, and I'm looking at those now, and I'm as I'm out there knocking on doors. And what we would do is we would take those vacant properties, and we would take ownership of those vacant properties. We would fix those properties up, and we would give them, and we've done it across from Lincoln Commons. You see all those houses. We've built new housing, affordable home ownership for Malden residents, and people that worked in Malden got points for those things and were able to buy into Malden. So we should be doing more of those. And again, I think we pioneered that. I think I've championed that in Ward 7, and I think the rest of the city could actually take a page out of Ward 7's textbook. And also, I do deed restrictions as well. But I think that most of the neighborhoods can look at what I have achieved during my tenure in Ward 7, and they should take a little page out of that book and do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris Eminelli. I'm going to bring up Michelle Luong for the same question. However, I will remind, let's see. Awesome, there's Michelle Luong. All right, same question. And regarding your challenger's comment, you do have part of your time within the 2 minutes to address his previous comment from the previous question. So should you choose?
I do choose. Thank you so much. So I will be quick about it because I don't want to waste my time in, not answering the next question. I will not defund the police. There is a question there. I never said I will defund the police. I am proud of my endorsement for our revolution. Not everything about our revolution is defunding the police. And unfortunately, I wish my opponent actually did some research because he should have known that. So there it is. I am for putting mental health professionals in with police and doing ride-alongs. I don't believe in replacing police with mental health professionals. They need to work alongside each other. So that answers that question. And so you're asking how I would increase home ownership, owner occupancy. It's really working with our diverse community and building a way for them to create home ownership. It's been generational that some generations and that they're the first to own a home. So we need to open that up with first-time home buyer programs that really inform our residents on the profits of being home ownership. And I'd like to point out, Grape Street Park was taken to balance a budget from my opponent, and those homes that he said were affordable were sold during his tenure for $450,000 a piece in the open market. So those were not affordable housing, just so everybody knows that, and you can look that up yourselves. So I just wanted to clarify that. But I am for increasing home ownership, and it's very easy. We can work with the Malden Redevelopment Authority. We can build programs for people, especially low income, that brings forth for them to be able to own their own homes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to bring up Jadine Sika for the same question. All right.
Great, thank you. So with housing, how can we keep owner occupied housing? Was that the question?
Yes. Malden only has 36 to 40% of its housing is owner occupied. What ideas do you have to increase this number in order to help local businesses retain their customer base?
Great, thank you. So I think our recent vote to push over the MRA into the city is gonna be a huge good thing for this particular issue. We have, since the Malden Redevelopment Authority is now going to be part of the city, it's intended to bring more resources for housing. So as a part of us doing that, we're going to fund a grant writer to do a better job securing of many of the funds that are available to drive housing initiatives. We had the mayor do the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that is already off to a huge, great start. There's about 4 million. What was it? I think it was about $4 million to be spent on housing related initiatives where people we can offer all these different programs for first-time home buyers and things like that. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, where apartments like Overlook Ridge comes on. Every time an apartment comes on, right now we get $2,000 per unit once the build out is done, and half of that money is going into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is huge. I think that I just think that the MRA, with the MRA coming over to the city department, the possibilities for us to try to help increase the owner occupied from the 30 40% threshold to increase it. I'm looking forward to working with Debbie Burke from the MRA to see how we can get all of that going. So thank you.
And thank you. We're now going to bring on Nate Coupel. Same question, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, so this is, I just want to say that I think the importance of thinking about not even just home ownership, but the importance of everyone having access to have a roof over their heads is a really important one. Having quality, stable, affordable housing is the foundation for the quality of life that you can live. I think that we have some really great committed community relationships with Action for Boston Community Development, Asian Community Development Corporation, a number of others, including some of the inclusionary zoning work that has been going on, our rental assistance programs this past year that are really focused on making sure that everyone has roofs over their heads and is not at risk of homelessness. And I think there are opportunities for us to work with our business community to develop programs to help home ownership towards allowing folks to be able to own their own homes across our many diverse communities. And also programs, online retail programs that we can help our small businesses with, including those that don't have a brick and mortar buildings. Those are there's a lot of those here in Ward 8 that I think are really important that needs a lot of support as well. And ways that we can tie in some of our business community with food security work, our restaurants producing maybe some programs at the city level to help bring in healthy foods to a variety of different convenience stores across the city so that our young people have access to nutritious foods, bike path small business opportunities across all the wards, mobile business opportunities to bring a number of different business ideas across all of our wards to everyone. So I think there's a lot that can be done, and these are two great topics that require a lot more thinking and some forward thinking on.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to keep you here, Nate, because I'm going to read question 7, and it will fall to you first. This is by Blue and Gold. So, in many places in this country, including the city of Malden, but in particularly Malden High, the question from Blue and Gold is that vaping has become a public health crisis. And does city government in Malden have the ability to improve situations and or to implement health solutions to tamper down on vaping? And the floor is yours to answer that question.
So yes, vaping has, we know from the research that it can have incredibly detrimental impacts on childhood development and growth for our kids and young people. We absolutely can at the city level and should be working with our school administration, our teachers and teachers unions, city council, the city level, and a number of our nonprofit organizations that focus on this kind of work to build out a long-term strategy. This is not something that we can solve overnight. We need to bring all the players to the table to really talk about how it's impacting our youth, our young people, how it's being accessed, and really look at the root causes of what's going on here in our communities in Malden, and work collaboratively as a city and as a community to develop educational programming, PSA types of campaigns to share across different languages and backgrounds so that communities understand the impact of vaping on our young people. So I think there's absolutely a problem that we need to address, and we need to bring everyone to the table and start thinking about long-term solutions to help keep our kids safe from these types of substances in schools and outside the school walls.
Thank you very much, Nate. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Jadine Sika for the same question. Hello, Jadine. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Nope, I think vaping is a public health crisis,
Exactly.
basically. So I have a 22 and a 19-year-old, and never in my life would I have ever thought that I would have to be worried about my children being addicted to nicotine. I know that they both smoked these stupid little things. At first, I didn't even know what the little plastic things I was finding around the house were. I think we need to somehow educate our parents more, because it literally looks like this tiny little USB thing that you put into your computer. It's the charger for this long little stick, and these kids hold it in their hands like that. You can't even tell that it's in their fist if you wanted to. This is something I learned about 4 years ago when my kids were still in high school, and I think that as a city, there's a bunch of different things that we can do. We can, team up with the school committee, because this is definitely a school committee issue, not necessarily, something that we would implement, but we could fully support our school committee members, coming up with ideas, maybe like some sort of a campaign. I do know that I've watched the news. They got rid of all kinds of like mint flavors, and any sort of a fruit flavor is supposedly illegal, but these kids are still getting their hands on them. They're buying them online. I think the key thing with this vaping crisis is we need to educate. We need to educate these parents, because I thought that I was a parent that pretty much knew everything that was going on. And when this first started, I had no idea what that little jewel or there's one that's now called a puffer. So I think that we need to just, try to do a campaign to educate our parents so they know what to look for, and, work with the Board of Health to try to come up with other ways to stop our kids from getting addicted to these foolish little things. So thank you.
Thank you very much, JD. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Michelle Luong for the same question. Hello,
Hi.
hello, Michelle. So same
Hi.
question. Is vaping a
Yes.
health crisis, and are we equipped to deal with solutions?
Yes. Okay, so yes, vaping is a health crisis. We do have issues in the schools with the vaping in the bathrooms. It's absolutely no secret. I think the last 18 months has taught us anything, is that teaching our children and the importance of not vaping and how that can absolutely directly affect your health. That's increased in our health programs, but more importantly, we really need to I would love to work with the city council, and if I'm a city councilor, I would reverse it and love to work with the school committee to maybe increase their budget so they're able to buy vape detectors for the bathrooms and for the schools, because kids need to have structure, and if they're allowed to sneak and vape in the bathrooms and it goes undetected, that's a problem. It's an absolute problem, and we do need to educate parents. I couldn't agree with Councilor Seeker any more than I could now, that parents don't understand what those little jewel things are and what all the different nuances. She's right, one looks like a USB drive. Are you kidding me? How do you, they use the USB drives for their projects. So furthermore, education is so much key, not only for our schools, but also for our parents and our entire community. Vape detectors should be in our public buildings. It should not be allowed inside. No one should be able to sneak it. We need to teach them. Even in my own family, we lost a loved one from vaping. It's awful. And the effects it does on your body, it's really detriment to these children, and it's definitely a health crisis.
Thank you very much, Michelle Luong. I'm going to bring up Chris Seminelli for the same question.
Great.
All right, Chris,
Thank
the
you.
floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a huge issue for for our youth. I think with all the flavors and being cool, and they think it's not as as dangerous as smoking cigarettes, and they're finding out that it is, and it has its other complications. We really don't even know, the verdict's still out on it. Really, it's not the FDA, the tobacco control. Nobody really has control of it because they're saying it's not a tobacco, but it is. But some of the things that I would like to battle with, how to battle that is, I remember when I was a city council before, we had the tobacco control. We had a separate grant funded, because you can't always go after the budget. Everybody keeps saying go to budget, go to budget. There's only so much pieces of pie in the budget and their line items, and you just can't go after them all the time. And people sometimes say those things for sound bites, but it's you just can't do it. It's impossible. So, but there are grant programs. The governor's office, I looked into that. He has programs over there for vaping and tobacco control. And we need to go after those things again and bring those things back. And I'd be a strong proponent of doing those things because it worked. Education is the key here. Educating our youth about the dangers of it and continuously doing it. And Michelle, I'm sorry if I upset you with the defunding the police. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to be clear on where you stand because I wasn't too sure on it. As far as the affordable housing goes, that's what was affordable during the time when I was there for those houses across the street. And we cut the deficit of $3 million where we would have had to lay off teachers, policemen, firemen, DPW workers, and city hall workers. So that was a two-prong approach over there. And that was the affordability at the time. So I think you're a little off there. So thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm going to keep you here for the time being because we are on to question 7. So in Malden, as in many communities across the state of Massachusetts, there has been an increase in local businesses allowing for provisions for outdoor dining, parklets, and other useful ways to circumvent pandemic restrictions. What would you wish to see in the future to continue to recover from last year's shutdown of the the shutdown of the economy and to continue recovering since?
Well, I think people are making more out of it than it is. I think it's a common sense issue at this point now. Before we didn't have the vaccines that they have out now. And it was new to us. So I think that now going into this, and I don't like to call it post-COVID because we're really not out of it yet, but we're making some headway. And I think common sense plays a huge factor here. I mean, wear masks when you go into a building, whether you've been vaccinated or not, just to be, just to be aware of the people around you, not just for yourself, but to be able to show awareness and lead as an example. And I think once people do that, then I think it'll cut things down. I mean, it's proven statistically that the more people that wear masks, I know we're getting tired of those things. I got it, I am too. But I think that by wearing those masks and going out, and even if you're out in a public forum, it's your choice. You should have the choice whether if you're vaccinated or not to wear a mask or not wear a mask. That's your choice. It's your body. You can do what you want. So, but I think that common sense will get us through these things. I like seeing what I saw as far as the downtown area and outside dining. I think that's wonderful. I think that's something that we needed to do even before COVID. I think that it helps the businesses, gives them more tables, allows more people to come in. But I think the city of Malden has done a fantastic job with battling this COVID epidemic here, or pandemic, whatever you want to call it. And I like what I see. And again, I think that we all have to work together, and we have to be mindful of the fact that we are in a pandemic still. And the fact is, you've got to take precautions. You got to wash your hands, you got to wear the mask, you got to do what you got to do, and to make people feel safe and to be safe. And I think that'll work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring on Michelle Wong. Same question. Hello, Michelle. Do you need me to rephrase that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep. So reigniting our small businesses and how do we take care of them? And I think that, during COVID, we created the ability for the outdoor dining. I absolutely think that should continue. It's worked out well. It's brought in a lot of different ambiance to our city. I have to give hats off to the mayor's office in creating their downtown festivals, which of course was done with the grant that I'm hoping they can reapply for, for a grant again to be able to get that. And it's just important for us to be able to take our downtown, as well as all the other parts of our cities that have our small businesses, create small business days, more than just the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Um, I know that our Chamber of Commerce does all types of networking, and anybody can come to these and feature a new business every month. It's a new business, and I think it's important for us to really bring that all together. We should be doing more job fairs, because local businesses need to hire, and they should be able to hire locally. And I think that that's all going to work if we work together in creating all these different programs: buy local, shop local, work local, and really take that into consideration on a yearly basis on what we can do.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring on Jadine Sika.
Okay.
Hello, Jadine.
Hi. Okay. So I think outdoor dining is a huge asset to our small local businesses in the city. I know that a few in Ward 8 have actually increased numbers throughout the summer months with having the luxury of having that outdoor dining. More people are apt to go out for dinner or to go get a drink when they're able to sit outside on an 85-degree night than they are to go into an air-conditioned building. So it's actually keeping some of our customers local. They're not having to go to other places that are on the water or to Hampton Beach or Revere Beach to be able to enjoy outdoor dining. They're actually being able to stay in Malden, where we are able to benefit from the meals tax and the sales tax and all that good stuff that comes along with people using our local restaurants. So I would love to see outdoor dining continue, not just, for the remainder of the pandemic, but I would like to see it move forward for years to come, because I do think that it benefits small business owners. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a community that's more inviting. We want our business owners to strive. And that's why, at the beginning of the pandemic, we decided to waive all of the liquor fees for all of our liquor establishments, because we knew that they weren't collecting the money for the alcoholic drinks. So we decided to help them and, waive that fee for that particular time. So I definitely think that outdoor dining should be here to stay. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to bring on Nate Capel. Same question.
And just so you know, Guillermo, it's Cupel. Cupel.
Do you need me to repeat it a bit?
No, I was just saying my last name is Cupel.
Cupel, my apologies.
Yeah, that's okay. No problem. I think there's so much that we've learned over the past year and a half, and so much that's been done already to support our businesses with outdoor dining. Absolutely. I think there are ways for us to keep some of the innovations and ways that we've supported our business community in place, to continue to support them as we work through the impact of COVID that will continue for the coming year and maybe longer. And again, I think there are a number of different kinds of businesses throughout the city, from dry cleaners, laundromats, childcares, landscaping businesses, some with their own buildings and others without. I think there's opportunities for ongoing partnership with the Malden Chamber of Commerce, with our local workforce investment board, to do more job growth and supporting entrepreneurs through development of micro enterprise and entrepreneurial opportunities. There are ways to build out our restaurant communities, as I mentioned earlier, across the bike path, doing Taste of Malden across the bike path, across every ward, offering small business restaurants and the chance to feature themselves in the community. And as I mentioned earlier, again, I think there's some great ways to bring in some of the restaurant community into food security programs, so that we can create ecosystems of businesses for social good, which includes youth jobs, youth internships, apprenticeships, and technical assistance for a number of these businesses, so that they can continue to thrive and grow.
Thank you very much. We're going to go into our final question, but don't fret, there's still closing statements. So for this question, it's from the Chinese Culture Connection. There has been an increase in violence against Asian Americans in our country, and there is mention that it even took place in our city. What are some of the measures that you would like to see put in place in order to deal with recent aggression against other ethnic groups in this country, but in particular in your role as a city councilor regarding incidents that may take place in this city? We're going to go ahead and bring on Michelle Luong to answer this question first.
Hi, thank you very
Hello,
much.
Michelle. It's all yours.
So I have to start by just saying, as a white woman, I can't even understand what it's like not to feel safe because of the color of my skin. I have a diverse family. My husband's Asian. So, and I feared for him and his family, especially his mom, every time she wants to walk to the store, that independent woman that she is. And every time she wants to go to the market, it's just frightening. And it is happening across Malden. So, as an elected official, what can we do is make our diverse community safe. It's communication and zero tolerance. What does that actually mean? So communication is the translation part of it, right? It's getting our community together and realizing that we're different, but if we can communicate together, that's going to make the tensions a lot less. And zero tolerance is just that. We cannot tolerate hate crime at all whatsoever. We're not going to tolerate it in our schools, and we're not going to tolerate it throughout the city. It's unacceptable. We need, as your next city council, I will implement these policies with mental health and diversity training citywide to ensure that the issue is treated with urgency it deserves. When we train people and teach people and we all come together and have those conversations, that's how we're going to move forward. We haven't been diverse, just newly diverse. We are generationally diverse. I've lived in Malden on the same street in Ward 7 since I was 4 years old. And I really feel that it just can't be tolerated. And it's not fair. We should not have people that are just so afraid to leave their homes. It's bad enough they're afraid to leave the homes from a COVID. Now they have to be afraid that they're going to be beaten up on their way to do whatever they wanted to do in the day. So that's my answer. It's zero tolerance, and it's communication, and it's diversity training. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm going to bring on Chris. See if he's available. All right, Chris.
I'm in.
Same question.
All right. Listen, I don't have any tolerance for that. I don't have any tolerance for that type of behavior at all. I think we need more education on that. I believe that the city now is actually having a diverse program going on. I think they do it with some department heads, and I think they're starting to do it with the rank and file as well. I think they have sessions of classes going on right now. I've taken many of those classes. I was a training instructor in those classes, and again, living down in Ward 7, growing up and being born and raised, growing up in Newland Street housing projects, and family living in Bowden Street apartments, living on Old Harvard Street on the corner of Ferry and Cross, where I'm at now. I mean, Ward 7's a melting pot and always has been for over a century. And we seem to get along with one another. And I'm not saying that things don't happen, but again, my campaign, I am already doing those things as we're walking around the neighborhood, and we're bringing translators with us, and we're reaching across the aisle, and we're bringing people forward, and we're moving along. Diversity is a big thing. And I think once we educate people on the diversity and people's backgrounds, and if that's something that we need to do in Ward 7, then I'll jump right on top of that, because I will not tolerate that type of behavior. And, I have multi-ethnic backgrounds of friends and went to school with multi-ethnic background friends. I've had teachers. My girlfriend's an African-American girl that I've dated for the last 12 years. I have Asian relatives. I have African-American relatives, nieces and nephews. So that's a dear subject to me. And, I wouldn't tolerate that as a city council. I wouldn't tolerate that as a human being. I've worked in prisons. So I'm well versed on those type of things, diversity, ethnic backgrounds, and racism is just not tolerated, not in my tenure.
Thank you very much, Chris. And now I'm going to bring on Nate Cupel. Hello, Nate.
Hello, hello. Yeah, this is something that's near and dear to my heart here as an Asian American person myself, and as someone who's witnessed it in our city here, seeing against Asian Americans in small businesses for not speaking English well, for a variety of other things. And again, yes, I think this is something that we can't tolerate, but it's also something we have to acknowledge that is here, that is a public health crisis. It is a long-term problem that can't be solved overnight. And we need to take a hard look at it. We need to take a look at the roots of racism, how we learn as children, how we teach our children, how we interact with each other based on the lenses we see from the movies, from social media, from everywhere that teach us how to think about each other, how to look at each other. As a Attorney General appointed commissioner for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Asian American Commission, this is something that I've been pushing for in my advocacy work with the commission to reform our hate crime legislation in the state, to ensure that our schools are thinking about and talking about how racism appears in our communities and how young people can be talking about difference, how they can be talking about racism, and how to address it at the school system level as well. Absolutely, this is something that I care quite a bit about, and it's not just in our Asian American communities. It's apparent in our Black and Brown communities as well, and something that I'm absolutely passionate about, and would work very hard with our state delegation, with our city, our mayor, our council, our community organizations and school systems to take a hard look at how this is how this appears in our community and some of the steps that we can begin to take to really tackle such a meaty topic and a detrimental issue here for so many folks here in our diverse city.
Thank you, Nate. I'm going to bring on Jadine Sika. Hello, Jadine, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Racism of any kind is absolutely unacceptable in our city. We need to open people's minds to thinking about things that they may not intuitively think of, and that's what this is all about. We need to educate. Again, I've said educate a lot this evening, but this is another thing that we need to educate our residents, educate our youth. I think the mayor hiring Bibios, again, I'm gonna go back to that. I think that's a step in the right direction. Over the last few months, we've already seen multiple departments hire different, a more diverse staff in the city solicitor's office, in the assessor's office, in the public works department, where Bibios has already changed our blueprint of our workforce. And I think that if we can continue to keep moving forward in that direction and just educate. Again, I've told my kids very young age, they went to the Linden Steam Academy, and it was literally a melting pot for, I think anybody that can experience growing up here in Malden has definitely a one-up on other cities and towns across the country, not even just Massachusetts. My kids have noticed it in their workforce. They, I don't think it's just Asian hate. I think it's all racism. It's horrible for somebody to feel like they can't walk down the street. That should absolutely be not happening here. And again, we need to educate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jadine Sika. Well, now we're gonna begin our closing statements. So similar to the opening statements at the beginning of forum, each candidate will have 4 minutes to give their closing statements. So I'm gonna bring back Jadine Sika for her 4-minute closing statement. All right, Jadine, the floor is yours for your closing statement of 4 minutes.
Thank you. I'm not sure if it'll be 4 minutes. I didn't prepare anything for a closing statement, but I just want, a vote for me is a vote for, connecting the community. I love what I do as far as hosting community events. I've been doing them for over 17 years, well before I had any sort of a political agenda. in my head when I was approached to run for Ward 8 councilor back in 2013. I told them that they were crazy. I didn't think that this was something that I wanted to do. And over the last 8 years, I've grown to love it. I absolutely love being a part of Malden. I love being a part of the Ward 8 community. I love listening to my residents and constituents, discuss, things that they'd like to see. 7 months ago, we decided, Councilor Spatafora and I, to embark on community fridges. We weren't quite sure how, they were going to take to the community. And last week we opened our 4th community fridge. They're located in Linden Square on Canal Street, behind U-Haul on Easton Ave. And I think that helps a lot with our food insecurity. I know that Nate had mentioned getting some healthy foods into the hands of our constituents. And right now, twice a week, Katsarubis is putting healthy foods into those fridges. Usually Mondays and Wednesdays, the fridges get stocked, all 4 of them. Fresh produce, breads, bagels, yogurts, milk, butter, you name it, it's going in there. I think that it's an easy way for somebody who may just need help one week and doesn't want to fill out the paperwork of having to go through a particular organization or get vetted through that. And some people are just too proud to ask for that help. So I think that is a huge thing, that I am so happy to sit here and say 7 months later, it's as successful as I could have imagined it. I heard some naysayers from the beginning, but I think we're tackling food insecurity just a little. It's not a lot, but it's a help for our residents. We're hoping to put a few more fridges around the city. We have multiple cities and towns around us that have reached out and love the way our program is going. So I look forward to working with the community fridge. If I'm elected in November, I will still work with the community fridge because I don't foresee me just going away if Nate, has the honor of winning on November 2nd. But I have some unfinished business here in Ward 8. We're looking to finish the hockey rink. There's a bunch of different projects that I would like to see finished before my time here in Malden is done. So on November 2nd, I ask that you re-elect me, Jadine Sika, for your Ward 8 City Councilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jadine Sika. I'm now going to bring Nate Kupel. All right, Nate, the closing statements are yours.
Thanks. Well, thanks, Guillermo. Thanks, Uma, to all the candidates here tonight, and to all of our community members watching live and after the fact, probably on YouTube. I think we're in a really important moment here in the city, one that I think maybe hardly requires any kind of reminders about what we've been through in this past year and the losses that we've had for all of us in our entire community. And yet, I think what I've seen and what I've felt over the past year is a story of a really resilient city committed to lifting each other up. We found ways to ask for help, to offer help through mutual aid, through increased food security programs like the one that Councilor Sika mentioned, remote hybrid, translation-supported Zoom meetings for city council forums, housing initiatives, multilingual COVID community awareness and engagement across our entire city. These are all the stories of the kind of Malden that I think we all love and want to see continue well beyond when the pandemic comes to an end. And I hope that's very soon. And to do that, we need, I think, more city leadership with the experience building the right programs, the services at the right time that can change and grow as we grow as a city. I think there's so much that we share in common about why we love living here, and so much in common about what we want to see in the future of our city. I'm really committed to, as I mentioned earlier, doing the basics, taking care of the basics, from reducing traffic, the conditions of our roads, streets, language access for key city services, better communication between residents. And I'm also committed to really helping our city imagine and build our future. How we can increase youth civics and jobs, improving our schools, building stronger voices for our young people and families, increasing our green space, adding additional mental health services and addiction services, programs like wellness opportunities for our elders and seniors. And, you know, as I've said tonight, these are not easy tasks to solve and won't be done overnight. And I think they take city leadership who really understands how to create these services and strengthen these opportunities that we already have to help our working families, our seniors, adults, or young people to feel welcomed, to feel included, and to have and live safe and meaningful lives. So, you know, I'll promise to you all right here to be a connector, a hard worker, a listener, and to just always hold myself accountable to residents. I'm absolutely available if you'd like to get in touch with me on my website, natebaycupel.com, natefrommalden@gmail.com. I'll share all of the contact information here afterwards in the chat. But thank you so much. And I humbly ask for your support on November 2nd with a vote for Nate Bay-Cupel. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Nate. I'm going to bring on Chris. Wait for Chris. All right, very good.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, the floor is yours for your 4-minute closing statement.
All right, 4 minutes, that's all I get. Thank you. Listen, at the end of the day, for the residents of Ward 7, it comes down to this. I think we need somebody that has proven leadership. Experience does matter to get the job done down there. And for the 10 years that I spent there in office, we were able to create after-school programs. You know, and unfortunately, again, this is about experience matters. I'm not taking any pot shots on anybody, but in the 10 years I was there, created second to none after-school programs. My opponent has not. I have developed senior programs. My opponent has not. I have done community policing working with those after-school programs. My opponent has not. I have done job placement down in Ward 7, getting people employment. My opponent has not. I have created affordable housing and affordable home ownership. My opponent has not. I've created more green space in Ward 7 in the 10 years that I was there than the entire city of Malden has in any other ward. It's a recreational playground. I have built those things. I'm continuously building those things, looking to build even more green space down there. And I already have my eye on a few other places. My opponent does not and has not. I've brought millions of dollars of resources, probably $3 to $5 million a year as I was a city councilor down there for the 10 years that I was there. My opponent has not. So again, neighborhood camaraderie is a big thing right now that we're doing on this campaign right now, bringing people out, bringing them to the neighborhood parks, doing community events. Once again, my opponent has not. So listen, at the end of the day, it comes down to experience really matters at this point because we're coming out of this post-COVID thing, if you will. A lot of monies are going to be available and I can hit the ground running. I've done these things before. As you can see, take a ride around the neighborhood. My name's all over everything. I've done these things. My opponent has not. And I think that is an important thing right now to get somebody out there that can work. Also, I was a city councilor for 10 years, working with colleagues, working with department heads. I don't have to get to know them. I don't have to know what the departments do and what they don't do. I already know it. My opponent does not. So I'm saying that I have done these things. I'm a type of person, I'm a leader that can reach across the aisle, bring people on board. I can mend fences, build bridges. That's what I do. I've done that my entire life. Fortunately, my opponent has not. The experience matters. Experience matters, and my opponent does not have the experience. And you know, look, 1 year of one term on the school committee does not give you the experience that Ward 7 is going to need over the next 5 years. So again, most of you people know me. I'm humbly asking you to vote for me. Give me a second chance. And together, we can make Ward 7 that neighborhood on the hill once again, like it always has been. Thank you for your cooperation and thank you for tuning in tonight. And thank you everybody for tuning in and watching this show. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now I'll bring on Michelle LeWalk. And Michelle, closing statement time is all yours.
Thank you so much. I could spend my time going after my opponent, And he thinks that I didn't live here since I was 4. And I love how his version of what his tenure was like is I want to say and somewhat comical is best, because I think it's everyone's perception on how those 10 years went. But fact is that my opponent has not been here for the past 12 years. He literally moved in one day and pulled his papers the next. So I have been in this community since I was 4. I have been an educational advocate for 14 years. I work with several nonprofits, so my experience runs in the nonprofit sector. I am a small business owner. I am also a realtor. So I can tell you that, his affordable home ownership of taking over Grape Street Park, yeah, that really wasn't affordable back then. What I can offer you integrity. I can offer you honesty. I can tell you that I will work tirelessly. In my short time, by the way, on school committee, I put policies in place that made a difference. I put a special education audit in place that gives parents the right to audit their special education services, and that is now mandatory, and it goes all the way up to the school committee every year. I did that. I also made it so parents have a voice. I also reinstated the anti-bully task force, and we're on target to putting in an anti-violence resource, so kids can anonymously call in. They can anonymously go online and report when they've been harassed, when they've been tortured, when they've been bullied from either a teacher or another student. That's safety. You have my commitment. I'm also looking to make sure seniors can stay in their homes and protect them from predatory buyers. Predatory buyers, the ones that tell them, oh, you can purchase your property at a discount, when in effect, they're stealing from them. I was here back in Ward 7 when people had vacant property, their properties had problems, and all of a sudden they had fees out crazy fees that they couldn't even afford. Do we have vacant property issues in Malden? Yes, we do. I look forward to supporting the initiatives already in place to turn that into true affordable housing with deed restrictions. I look forward to working with other counselors across the aisle, and I can work with anybody. We are the way we do things differently is now we have a disabilities commission that I've already contacted, the head of the disabilities commission, to talk about why our sidewalks are not ADA compliant. And by the way, to my opponent, that just didn't happen in the last 10 years. So I don't know what streets and roads and all that he was talking about, but those have been like that for 30 years. So no. So Miller Park that he claims he renovated, he didn't. That was Neil Anderson in 2015 with Councilor Bucci. And you were mandated by law to replace the parkland at Lincoln Commons, and that was done by community officials. A whole team of residents put that together. My point is that I'm honest. I have integrity. I will work tirelessly for this ward. I already have been. I have delivered food bags. I'm in nonprofits. I will bring everybody together, from the nonprofits to the government to everybody united. That's my vision. We have on target, this city is going to receive an increase in funding significantly. We have to be forward thinking. We can no longer just put a Band-Aid on things. Job training, we need to work with unions to bring jobs back into our community. We can't just find people jobs. Oh, I found this one a job and this one a job. That's not building job structure. I'm committed, and I pledge to tirelessly work on behalf of Ward 7 residents to build programs and services for the community, from public health and safety to traffic and infrastructure. I've already researched pest control issues, and I'm ready to work for you. I humbly ask for your vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle Luong. And that is all for our candidates. I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming tonight and participating in our forum. Again, this is Urban Media Arts. This was our 3rd Malden City War Forum. Again, my name is Guillermo Hamlin. I was your moderator this evening. I want to thank you all, to the audience, for tuning in. And please be aware for next Thursday, October 28th, from 6:30 to this time, for the City Councilor at Large Forum. That will be over YouTube, our cable channels at MATV, and I hope to see you there again. Again, UMA is delighted to be taking the lead on public forums in the city of Malden and to making sure that this happens. Again, thank you all for coming out and joining us, and we wish you all a good night. Thank you.